And that is such a quick, like a cheat code into something more.
And you can do it with yourself in the mirror.
Yeah. Into something more intimate too, because like I'm only imagining. I've never done that with
Guys,
a partner,
it's
too.
free.
Yeah. And it's free. It's free. It's quick. It's the best.
That's a hack.
Yeah, it's
a
the
love
most
hack.
American thing ever, right? Do you want to know more about your body? What an amazing conversation this is with mindset and intimacy coach Michelle Alva, where we really chat about the important things. Oxytocin, exploring our deeper selves, and the physiology behind healing. So, let's do it.
Too many days in the darkness, without a glimpse of the light. Running tired and broken and scared, but I swear I'll never give up the fight. I see you broken and beat, head pulled down over your eyes. Every part of you wants to surrender, but darling, you were meant to survive. With every star.
So Michelle, thank you for coming on today. You are so amazing, literally one of a kind in this world. From the work that you do through your sessions, through your individual sessions, your YouTube channel, everything is just like, I feel like it's like a hidden gem. And, you know, for people listening for the very first time, just getting to know you, can you give them a little bit of like a scope about the type of work that you do?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, thank you so much, Daniel, for being here, having me on your amazing podcast. I love the content that you're bringing into the world. There's so much needed, you know, and everything that you see in me is because it's all in you. And so for the people that are new to Michelle Alva, what I feel I'm really good at is helping people go deeper. I think when I think of myself, the deeper aspects of ourselves that a lot of us spend years and years and years, maybe do a lot of psychedelics to get the access to. I feel like I am the ayahuasca. Like,
yeah, you're the embodiment
I teach people to go deep. And through my own beingness, even people listening to my voice, I mean, I have cried and been on my knees, and I have gone to those places in myself that I feel a lot of us fear, that unknown, wounded part of us that I'm a badass freaking healer, you know?
Yeah.
I have wanted for so many years to overcome the sadness from my feeling abandoned by my dad, you know, when I was young, or the shame that I held from the sexual trauma that I had for so many years. I've wanted so badly to have a great life, you know, just have love rule my life and live heaven on earth. And I see the suffering going on in the planet, and how many of us are really, we think that we have to suffer and have all this chronic pain for years and years and years, and that's normal. And so I'm so happy to now be on the other side and be able to just be myself. And I know that that's 99% of why people have these amazing experiences, because of just the feeling that people get when they're around me. And that's the coolest thing, when you could just be.
It's the energy, yeah.
Healing for people, wherever you go. The gas station, you know, it's awesome.
No, I love that. And I know you do a lot of Tantra sessions too, which might be the very first time people are hearing that term, along with you know, the ALVA Method as well. And I'd love for you to kind of give people paint them a quick picture of really what that is. If you can even paint a quick picture with it, because that, you know, that does take time with healing and what those sessions entail.
Yeah, sure. Well, there's a lot of anxiety, depression, and chronic pain in the planet, in people, especially in America. So I'm going to relate it to people, and then how does the ALVA Method help? And so what do? We go to the doctor to get drugs, right? Or surgery. We go to the psychologist to talk, a lot of talk therapy, which it turns out that a lot of our woundedness is because of what we experienced from birth to 7 years old. And so how we were spoken to, how our parents treated us or neglected us, is really what's running the show a lot of the time with our chronic pain, with why we have anxiety or depression. Many of us don't know how to feel and process our emotions. we have a lot of lack of emotional empowerment or resilience.
Well, we're never taught that either.
Yeah. Well, our parents say, shut up, go to your room, stop crying. What's wrong with you? Or they'll bump our head, and just like, be quiet. So there's a lot of children just walking around with their tail in between their legs like a dog, like in fear. Many of us were not raised in a way where we could be ourselves. We would be loved by no matter what we want or say, like unconditional love. It's really not rampant in the world. And so I'm one of those people that was raised Catholic, had a lot of shame that I held. And I was just, everything was about guilt. And so I couldn't really be myself. And if I was myself, I feel as though I was doing something wrong. So I have evolved into this person that has been a seeker of how do we really heal? What are we? And it turns out after all the different courses and thousands of dollars I've spent in learning different modalities, from physical therapy, that's my degree, to learning about the latest in chronic pain and what really is it caused by and how can we heal it. But then becoming a mindset coach, neurolinguistic programming practitioner, and then the Tantra. So what I have done is looked at the physiology of healing, which is the love hormone. And I've been led to create a system, a process to take people on. It's a process of self-discovery where you get to harness your healing hormone, your oxytocin, which also is the love hormone. And that hormone is used, it is amplified when you have a whole body orgasm. So basically, when you get into the doctor's office and you have TMJ or a headache or digestive problems, or maybe you have lack of sleep or chronic pain in your body, imagine your doctor writing a prescription. You know what? Whole body orgasm, that stimulates your healing nerve, your vagus nerve. It's going to help bathe your whole body all in once, really learning how to master your whole body orgasm. Can you imagine that being the prescription that doctors give?
Yeah, because that's we're almost like designed to do that. Because you think about how our body like tries to heal itself. Like if you break an arm, you have a fracture, a cut, it's going to try to heal itself. You think about like lizards, you pull their tail comes off, they're going to grow another tail. When we're under pain, our body is looking for something to heal itself. And with oxytocin,
healing hormone.
Yeah. That's another way of actually healing itself without having any type of, prescriptions or anything outside that's unnatural.
And if you break your arm and you're in the car accident, I would be like, I'll take you to the ER. But then after that, after your bone is healed and all that, let's get back into the love hormone. Let's learn about how to amplify the love hormone. And so I feel like medicine is perfect for emergencies. But when it comes to chronic pain means that you've had it for more than 3 months. Because I come from physical therapy world. And what I realized is so many of my clients had childhood traumas, unprocessed woundedness. Maybe they felt abandoned. Like how many physical therapists are asking their clients who have chronic pain in their low back, let's just say, do you feel supported? The different parts of your body correlate with different emotions. So shoulder tension is like people taking on a lot of responsibilities or taking on your parents' pain. And then the low back is about you supporting yourself. So how many of us really, really love ourselves? How many of us are so critical on ourselves, or we don't like our job, or we're showing up in these relationships where we're not even really into our partners. So we're not supporting ourselves. So you wonder why your low back is hurting you. Your back, your body's actually your friend, and it's telling you, get out of that freaking relationship with myself, And so there's just way too many coincidences that a person that has had like knee pain, hip tension. Louise Hay wrote a whole book, Heal Yourself, and it correlates different body parts and different things that happen to people. Like a UTI is about getting pissed off, and a lot of times at your lover. It's so amazing and fascinating. So then when I go to that book or guide and then I ask my clients, they're always like, how did you know that? It's true. It's like, I wish I could honestly just video every session. And the correlation of your body's pain is wisdom. Your body is your life coach. It's trying to help you. So when people say, oh my God, I hate my back, or oh, my neck, or oh, I have another headache. It's trying to talk to them. It's trying to talk to you. And so what I do is I teach you how to get in touch with the wisdom. of yourself. And then how to process and release, very simple techniques because they're all based on science, that tension, that pain, that whatever it is, but without expectations. Because if you're like, oh my God, Michelle, you need to help me. I need to get rid of this.
I need to reach this goal.
Is not what we're doing. It's about, I'm going to love on this part of me, whether it's cancer, a headache, a cold, coronavirus, you know, maybe I should have said that, but whatever the dis-ease is, it's about how can this dis-ease offer me growth? And then how can I be love with it? Accept it, have compassion for it, and what is it offering me instead of hating on it, wanting it to get out of your life.
Because we're so goal oriented. It's just we're automatically designed to look in the future. Let's get this done. Results oriented, and you're kind of skipping really how the process of actually reaching that goal. Yeah.
And so the thing is, even with lovemaking, how many people want to get to the orgasm at the end? You're like making love with your partner. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. And then the woman is just like, that's just not how it works. I'm not a machine. So in sex, you know, how we sex is how we everything. It's a metaphor. How we look at our love relationship is a metaphor for how we live our lives. And so when I talk about Tantra, why I love Tantra, why I've decided to let go of the traditional way of working and now working with people through gaining more of that access and intimacy to their sexual healing energy is because in Tantra, there's certain ways of believing and thinking and being, which one of them is having an experience of yourself through everything in life and fully experiencing yourself instead of blocking emotions and instead of having just a goal-oriented life. Like if somebody goes on a date and they're like, does he have all the requirements for me to marry him and have kids? And does he want all the things that I want? What if you could actually just have a date and see if you actually like that person and not make it about what you expect from that person? And so living in a tantric way is about experiencing your food, you know, for your meals, or experiencing
you're being in the present.
Your shower. Yeah, instead of just getting done with your shower and going on to the next thing. And so I feel Tantra teaches us how to live fulfilled and how to be curious and how to be engaged with everything we do. Dishwashing, you know, going to do mundane things like whatever it is, putting gas in your car. It could be so much more pleasurable every single moment. And that's all we really have is a moment after a moment after a moment. But so many of us are living for the future, or we're stuck in the past.
Yeah, and you're really just missing out on all those feelings
on
that are
right
in
now.
In the
that's
present.
all we ever have. Like right now, I'm enjoying listening to you, you know, listening to me and the things that come through. And what if we could just have peace and joy and fulfillment which with every process that we go through, and then our dopamine is higher, that motivation hormone, and we don't need those extra humongous hits that people are looking for all the time.
Well, that's what I love in your Tantra sessions. I'm so glad that you invited me to one so I can really get an inside scoop for myself, because just like most people, like Tantra is just like that foreign concept to me. So by going to one, I mean, it was really amazing stuff that there's, you know, I go and there's a group of people that no one knows each other. You're in an entirely different setting. So like your fear and your anxiety is like going off. You're like, oh man, like this is all new. I'm here. And what was so amazing about it was the exercises that you help do and lead the group in, where it allows everyone to settle, connect, be in the present first, getting them to the present, and then doing exercises to then have them feel what it's like to be in the present. And one of your the exercise that I loved was the eye gazing exercise, which was amazing because all of a sudden I'm standing like 2 inches from somebody, and me and this female are staring into each other's eyes, you know, and I'm able to connect with her without talking. When she ended up walking away after that exercise, I felt connected to her, even though we really didn't speak. And doing some research, you know, there's this quote from a 16th century French poet that said, your eyes are the windows to your soul. And then I'm thinking about staring into her eyes. She's staring into my eyes. My soul is using my eyes as windows. Kind of like you're in your house, you're looking out your window. And then she's doing the same to me. And we're just connecting that way in a very present way. You're not thinking about any distractions, about the past, about the future. You're so focused on that person's eyes. And it also reminded me of, do you know who Rachel Platten is? She's my celebrity crush, by the way. She's an artist. She's a singer. She came out with a song called Better Place. And the chorus is basically, it's a better place since you came along. So you can imagine it's very connecting, and you could listen to it in a family way, a friend way, or in a romantic way. And her music video will absolutely make you cry in 2 seconds, because as the song's playing, she did a social experiment where she brought in random couples that were going to sit on a couch, across from each other, play her song, and just stare at each other. And within 20 seconds, like, they start like crying because they're staring at each other, listening to Better Place Since You Came Along. And it reminded me of that eye gazing, exercise that you did, because I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is it. And then boom, I can only imagine too, if that was like my girlfriend, my partner, what that would lead to, that type of connection, which takes 2 seconds. We're always chasing like that quick fix to things, and that is such a quick, like a cheat code into something more. And
you can do it with yourself in the mirror.
Yeah. Into something more intimate too, because I'm only imagining. I've never done that with a
guys.
partner,
it's
too.
free.
Yeah. And it's free. It's free. It's quick. It's the best.
That's a hack.
Yeah, it's
a
the
love
most
hack.
American thing ever, right?
Can I share some things that are coming up as you said that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't want people to expect to come to a workshop and be present and able to look into each other's eyes on the first class. Usually the first class, for someone who's never done this, they're freaking out, they're looking away, they're giggling, they're laughing.
That's exactly it, yeah.
They're like trying to step away, and then I'm noticing that. And so the important thing to do is notice, be present to your uncomfortableness, be present to your desire to run out the door, and stay anyway. Do it anyway. Because, people tell me, Michelle, I want to learn how to meditate.
I was just going to say, it's like you're almost like bringing up meditation, where you're actually you're getting through it mentally. You're getting through. I was just going to say meditation.
And meditation can be, for some people, so freaking boring, okay? So that's another reason why I started to work with Tantra, because Tantra is all about pleasure. But to get to pleasure, you sometimes feel a lot of uncomfortable, murky, crappy sensations, which then you just try your best to accept those uncomfortable sensations and view them as pleasurably as you can, because to get to freedom, which is what Tantra is all about, liberation, freedom, expansion, feeling, going deep, you first get to feel how not connected you've been. So when I started to do eye gazing, I literally couldn't. Okay, I just want everyone to know that. Today, I can sit here and feel really comfortable with myself looking at you, because I have purged out so much SHIT from the past, that the shame and the guilt and the judgment of myself, that I couldn't feel comfortable to sit with you or anyone, because I wasn't comfortable with myself. So this is the amazing thing when we do the eye gazing, whether it's you looking in the mirror at yourself or looking at someone, whatever you see in front of you is yourself. You can only ever see yourself in others. That's all we are. So if you're feeling uncomfortable in the exercise, you right away get feedback that you get to sit with your shit more and feel. And then what I recommend people do is just do this. Breathe in through your nose and then exhale. Whatever you feel like, you can create a sound. And so these are the techniques in the ALVA Method that are science-based, that we're immediately showing up the deepest parts where we're holding. It's brilliant. So in a date, let's just say, you know how sometimes we go on a date and we're just talking about all this superficial stuff?
Oh, it's awful.
You could literally just say, you know what? Have you heard of Tantra? Like, instead of us even talking about how compatible we are, we could just sit in front of each other and feel each other out and feel how we feel in the presence of one another.
Just next to each other.
Like, I would love to actually do, maybe that's my next event for people that are single, to actually get a feeling of how you feel with yourself in the company of another, because that's really all it ever is. So I'm in a place today where people love being around me because it's always fun and spontaneous and it's authentic. And that's sexy, instead of me acting like something I think you want me to be, which is boring.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like that first like 45 minutes of a date before you finally feel comfortable. It's like when you're sitting with Michelle, you're already past that.
And then people want to open up. And
absolutely.
And it's amazing because our sexual energy is our healing energy. So because people feel safe with me, I've had women and men tell me, they're like, I feel like I'm getting turned on just like sitting next to you. Like, I don't even know you, but I love your energy. And I tell people, don't take it personally. You don't really know me, but I have awesome energy. This is what I work in. I am love. So that's another thing that I feel people project what they want that connection to be, when in reality, you're always witnessing yourself. So if you're feeling like you're falling in love with me in 2 seconds, it's because you want to fall in love with somebody in 2 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But true love takes time with another person. It takes time to get to know someone, see if your values line up. Because you know how people hook up so quickly? They're like, oh my God, I'm feeling like I love you, you know, and I just met you. And so, yeah, you're right. You're feeling all that love because probably you both are open to that experience of feeling love together. That's the oxytocin. But then to actually have that person become a partner or become in a relationship, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It does take time to meet each other in different situations and know each other in different ways. So I think that's important because a lot of us get this like falling in love over looks and, you know, maybe even the ideas. And some people are like, Michelle, you know, I felt something with my partner. I'm like, great. You know, that means you're open to feeling more.
Yeah. And that might just be a little bit of oxytocin, you know,
or a lot.
Yeah. Or a lot.
This is what happens is be grateful that you opened up with yourself in the presence of another. But if you want to have something more serious with someone, take them out. Get to know each other, have fun together over time.
It's like the ultimate form of self-awareness.
Yes.
You know, being self-aware and realizing like, okay, I'm feeling this because of this chemical in my body that I know that I'm experiencing because of this experience. Like oxytocin, you know, when people finally have an orgasm, say 2 people have an orgasm same time and the sex ended, women have a higher sense of oxytocin.
Bonding. Women bond with sex. This is really important. Women bond with sex. So this is why it's great for women and men, I feel, because I can say this today, but I didn't do this when I was younger, people. I just want people to know, like, I love sex. You know, I'm just going to put it out there. I love conscious, soul connecting, deep diving, sexual connecting for sure. And most of us cannot have that experience because we're holding on to a lot of baggage from the past. And I work with many women and men who struggle with really having that full, whole body, whole presence. A lot of people say, you know, I really struggle being present in sex. I can only do it when I'm a little inebriated, you know, after having some wine, or maybe some people need to smoke a little because it is going to cause your healing hormone to be activated.
To go off, yeah.
And if you're suppressing your emotions and you're not letting yourself really feel your pains of the past, your shit's going to come up when you're having great sex. And so that's why I feel a lot of people choose to have the non-intimate, you know, more the casual. But in reality, sex is not meant to be casual. It's meant to be deep. And so this is why people struggle, I think, a lot. At least this is my theory after working with so many people. If you process your pains and you do your healing, you're going to be more orgasmic.
Yeah.
By default, because you have less baggage that is blocking you from letting all that Kundalini energy flow.
Yeah. You're your own worst enemy.
Always.
Yeah.
It's always ourselves. It's not your partner, ladies. You know, when women are like, he doesn't know how to make me come. You know, it's not ever your partner. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's always yourself.
Yeah.
And I teach women how to be orgasmic. So men, you're going to love me because I make your job a lot easier.
Well, I love that too. Just like how you make people more self-aware because, you know, with oxytocin, you know, after sex, like a woman having a little bit more oxytocin than men, like it's the bonding hormone. So traditionally, that's what makes them want to cuddle a little bit more after sex. And then with men, they experience oxytocin too, but what that does to them,
They don't bond with sex. Men don't bond with sex scientifically. There's a woman that wrote about that, Wendy Blum, I think is her name. She said that men bond with feeling safe with a woman, and men being able to share their emotions, their feelings with a woman, and feeling safe and not judged. And that is how a man bonds with a woman. So when women judge their man in bed or in sex, like let's just say he says, I want to lick your anus, or I want to lick your toe, and she says, ew, why are you saying that? He's not going to bond with you no matter how much awesome orgasmic experiences you're having with him. So it's really important for women and anyone to not judge your partner sexually or in any way. Just be love. Be a space holder for them to share their truths. So you could talk about that. You could say, hey, what are your sexual fantasies? Like, what's the raunchiest thing you would really want to do? And just let that person speak and witness what they say. And trust me, everyone, that man will love you so much because, you really have to be honest about it, not judge him, because you're allowed to have your sexual desires and fantasies, and no one is there to say you cannot have that and it's wrong. That is not Tantra. So imagine everybody could just be more supportive, more loving, more accepting, and let each person share their own truth of that in every area, though, not just sexually. So then that man would feel more bonded to that woman over time. And for men to know that if you are having sex with her, she is going to fall in love with you technically. Every orgasm you give her, you're making her bond to you. So it's important for people to really get real when you say, oh, yeah, we're having amazing sex, but oh no, we're just friends with benefits. It's BS. It's not physiologically true what you're saying. You're kidding yourself.
Yeah, the physiology behind everything too is really like the answer. Like, I was reading up on oxytocin, how it affects men differently than women, even though it's the same chemical. And when men have the oxytocin release, their testosterone levels dip a little bit, which then makes them maybe a little self-conscious, a little bit more fearful. It's why they get a little quiet, a little shy. It's why they kind of like pull away after sex right away. And then the woman having more of an oxytocin release, she's like, oh, get over here. Let's bond. Let's do this. Let's do that. And then the guy's a little bit more quiet, a little bit more like, on his toes.
Unless he feels really safe with her.
Yes.
That's where it's important for him to feel safe with her. And then she could say something like, hey, I'm feeling this way. Would you like to do that with me? And no worries if you don't feel like that. That would be amazing. I'm noticing you're kind of looking away from me right now. Totally cool. This is where I'm feeling. How are you feeling? Or maybe he doesn't even want to talk about how he's feeling. So you're allowed to say, I don't even want to answer that. I'm going to go get water.
Yeah.
And you never take it personally. It's really important for you guys to talk like that and say, hey, I noticed this maybe after a couple of days or something. Like you can then bring it up and say, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about sex together? Or what we're creating together. So it's really important to have a lot of communication. And that's a big part of the work that I do with my clients.
I feel like body language is the best form of communication to read after sex. And then the verbal should come after the chemicals have really, went back to sleep a little bit, because everything's super sensitive there. Yeah. And what we were chatting about before, I've always thought when we were chatting about allowing men to be open, I always thought people will fall in love when a man makes a woman laugh, then you can make her do anything. And if a woman allows her man to be open up about his emotions, I was like, you can then make him do anything you want. And I was like, that is the tailored fit. Because then I feel like that's both people are becoming the most comfortable self. When she's laughing and he's open. And he turns into a comedian and she's laughing at like his dumb jokes.
And guess what? The only way we can create that together as a couple is if we've created that within our own selves. That's really important because I think a lot of people are looking for that ideal relationship with someone, but you can only have with someone what you've already had with yourself. So if people walk away with that medicine, that'll help you a lot. So if you're attracting someone who's not emotionally available, or if you're attracting someone who's just objectifying you, don't ever blame it on that person. Be grateful that you're attracting the perfect person for now to show you where you're at with your relationship with yourself. That's how you can start to look at it. And then you're going to be empowered because you'll be like, oh, cool. I got this person that doesn't make time for me. Cool. That lets me know that I can prioritize more time with myself in my own relationship with myself. If I'm attracting somebody who doesn't respect me or doesn't value me, yay, I get feedback that I get to learn more how to respect and value myself, because that's the type of people I've been attracting. And I know this because this was me in the past. I would be the doormat for other people. And that was because I was the doormat in my own life with myself. So I'm living proof that when you shift your relationship with yourself, you sign up to love yourself 100%, people value you. People want to make time for you because you have made time in your own schedule for yourself. And so this is what I highly recommend people do is reach out to me, learn how to love yourself, and I will teach you how. And then everything around you changes. You get that raise, you know, you get that extra time off. It's given to you. The person that you wanted to connect with you, or maybe someone like that, is more
because you're
realistic.
attracting them.
Because you're attractive to yourself. When we make the time to really prioritize what we really want in our lives, there's something really magical about that. And women really don't want a guy who's a people pleaser. They really don't. They want that guy who sets his boundaries, who really honors his time for himself and for his friends, and really has their own life. That's someone that's sexier. Yeah, not someone that you could just push around. And, you know, if she wants that type of man, that's a not healthy woman. I'm talking about really interdependent people here that are sovereign beings that are in healthy, thriving relationships.
That, I never realized how self-awareness in a relationship is your best friend. I mean, that is your actual BFF, is self-awareness, because it serves as like your compass, your guide into navigating through, the dating life, the sex life,
in
work
every
life,
area of our lives.
Every area
being
of
a
your
mom,
life.
I have a 17-year-old, and me being aware when I'm projecting on my daughter, for example, if I was feeling maybe like after my divorce, I went from being more of a kind of a stay-at-home mom type of identity into, holy shit, like I'm single now and I'm going to be my own entrepreneur, and what am I going to do? And I would take out a lot of my anger, frustration with myself on my daughter. I'm sorry, for that, but that's the truth.
No, it's authentic.
And I would be like picking on her for stupid little things that, looking back on it now, I wasn't aware of it immediately right after, but I did a lot of therapy that made me then realize, wow, I'm really not happy with myself. I mean, that is partly why I got the divorce, is I wasn't really in a good relationship with myself. And then I was kind of pooping on everybody else, not being able to really be in a great relationship with anybody because I was crapping all over myself. I'm just being really honest. So I know what it's like if we don't do the deeper healing work. What we cannot have these thriving, awesome relationships, which today I love my life. I love every area.
I could tell. You've been smiling more than not.
So like the resting baseline state of my being throughout the day is much higher oxytocin than 11 years ago, 12 years ago. So I feel high naturally on love because I love myself and I've forgiven myself and I am my own best friend, and it's okay if not everybody loves me. Like I would look for love in men because my dad left when I was young and I missed my dad. Like,
you missed that attachment, that bonding.
I always thought there was something wrong with me. So I was always like, oh, somebody's got to love me. And so finally, I would say in the last 3 years especially, I'm onto myself and I see how me dating myself, me focusing on myself and my relationships with my mom, with my daughter, how the relationships that we have with other people is also you working on yourself. So you don't have to wait, everyone, to date someone necessarily, but you can have a conscious, healing, romantic relating with someone. It's not like this or that, because sometimes people are like, oh no, I'm not going to date anyone. I'm working on loving myself. So you can actually connect with someone to have, or more than one person, to have a conscious healing, relating, however you want to create it. And notice however you're treating that person is ultimately a reflection of how you're treating yourself.
Yeah, I love that word that you use too, conscious, because that is the definition of present, is being conscious, which then
you can
increases
have
your
conscious
self-awareness.
sex, you can have conscious friendships, conscious. Why are we having friendships? Why are we going to work every day, living in a certain place? Why are you choosing to spend your time doing whatever it is that you're doing? Are you conscious about it? Do you deliberately wish to create more of that? A lot of us are doing things that we really don't want to do. And we're doing them because we're just on that automatic pilot. And then we wonder why we're depressed.
We live on autopilot. Except I would say, except maybe the 2 days before we go back to work after a vacation. I think that's when we're off autopilot for like 2 days, 48 hours. And then, that's the pocket of like making a big decision in your life. Because we're so on autopilot. Because like when I go to take a shower, I take a shower to get clean, dry off. And then as I'm drying off, I'm drying off to get dressed to go then do this. And then it is this revolving door.
So can I tell you how I take a shower?
Yeah.
I usually have music on and I'll have a candle and I turn off the light. And I love my molten brown. I have this black pepper soap and it smells to me like a little manly. And I just close my eyes and I feel the warm water and I'll breathe. And I feel my body, I'll put the soap over my body and I'll just, and I always check in with my yoni. I always check in with my internal and my external, if you know what I mean. And I just smile and I feel so beautiful in my shower. I love my body. I love my skin. I love my soap. And I love the music that I play or having candlelight. And I just feel also like, what do I want to release in the shower? Because the water is such a cleansing energy. It's like a baptism every day, like a rebirth.
That's a good way to put it.
And so my showers are more of a ritual. And I mean, it's how I bring myself into the experience that makes the experience what it is.
You're setting the intention.
We're turning the mundane into magic. And you can do this with lunch, dinner, breakfast. You could do this when you go to the bathroom, for example. I tell my clients when we have our bowel movements and we let go of the past that we created, right? Yeah. We digested. So what else do you want to poop out of your body? Maybe there's some guilt. Maybe there's some shame. So I tell my clients, like when they go to the restroom, or whether it's number 1 or number 2, what else do you want to release? And then they come back from the bathroom and they're like, wow, that really felt better. Like I feel lighter.
Well, yeah. And when they're doing that too, I guess they're setting like an intention of going to the bathroom. Like, okay, I'm going to release toxins.
And to be grateful for your bowel movements. Be grateful for your body, detoxifying yourself and purging yourself. Isn't that amazing? Just to have a bowel movement, for some people, they struggle with that. There's a lot of constipation. I know it might sound silly, but giving birth, natural vaginal birth, having a bowel movement and having an orgasm, these are natural. Body was designed to do these things, but you'd be surprised with how many of us struggle with these simple natural things that we were meant to do because we're so stressed out that women can't go into natural labor. People can't have natural bowel movements or the orgasm. They say only 30% of women are orgasming, but we're designed to be orgasmic.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up before. You help people be orgasmic.
And get in touch with your nature, to have a better bowel movement, to have a healthier orgasm, to have just natural things that happen to you naturally. Just get more in touch with the natural you. Yeah,
in one of your YouTube videos, I was thinking about it because it was about why do people cry after orgasms sometimes. So then I'm thinking like, okay, that's implying crying is a positive symptom of orgasming. So if you're not crying, like maybe after an orgasm, are you reaching the full natural potential? Because crying is a natural response to it.
The oxytocin hormone that is the same hormone of orgasm is also the same hormone of emotional release. And when you go deeply into that whole body orgasm, I mean, your deep inner muscles are contracting. You're having this movement at the deepest level of your being. And so
your core body,
yes,
the core of your body, that's where your core temperature
vagus
is.
nerve,
Yeah.
this vagus nerve is a powerful nerve. That's why it's so important, I feel, for every man on the planet to learn about his prostate, which is analogous to the woman's G-spot. And these deeper pleasure glands, when they're stimulated, they secrete, you will secrete more of that whole body orgasm, that oxytocin. And so remember, sexual energy is healing, very deeply healing, when you're naturally there and present to that experience. But a lot of us will try to look the other way or turn her so that you're doing her from the back. You know, you don't have to see her face. So it's less personal. Well, that's a sign that maybe, I mean, of course it does feel amazing, right? When a woman just bends over. But if you're doing it, like, what is your intention? Is it because, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to cry and I just want to have a good time, or I'm feeling emotional? So imagine how beautiful it could be if you guys could pause and just look at each other and amplify the love hormone. Whether you're going to be married forever or not, what if you could sign up for, let's show up 100% with ourselves in this experience, and you can have the most healing, sexual, blissful, you're meeting creator, you know, in these experiences, and have conscious sex as a healing modality. You know, this is also something that is incredibly powerful, how people can actually come together to heal.
Yeah, you just hit it on the money too, because you even said it in your YouTube video, because in that way you're combining your heart with sex. When you're into that eye-gazing exercise and you're also simultaneously having sex, that's, I guess, the most powerful conscious form
and
of sex. And honestly,
the more you have that type of experience, so Tantra teaches you how to get in touch with the ecstatic, energetic flow of your orgasmic energy, that Kundalini life force energy. And so you actually don't feel so, it's not such a like pounding her, you know, like it's such a physical act, sex, a lot of times. So Tantra is more subtle. Tantra is more of that lightness, that
less is more mentality.
Yeah. And then the sexual energy, you just start to feel this rising, this expansion of energy. And so you have this energetic sex. It's another dimension that you open up to. Your brainwaves change. You go into this theta brainwave state where eventually even you start to feel that you're the whole universe. And it becomes this cosmic experience where you meet your creator. And that's where I do feel that it is a spiritual practice. This can be a spiritual practice when you're so present that you're opening up your soul with each other. You're opening up your soul with yourself. Whether you're doing this with yourself or with your partner, you can have this tantric lovemaking experience where all you feel is love. You're bathed in love. And I mean, sometimes, I mean, I'm just like, how could anybody think sex is bad or dirty? This type of conscious sex, heart connected,
yeah, it's
soul,
not embracing that form.
Yeah, and so I really wish I could film this. This is my wish for the future. If any videographers out there, they're like, I would like to be a part of that project, because so many of us miss out because we think sex is porn. We think sex is this overly dramatized, physical, hard, you know, thing that is not what cosmic, expansive. Mind you, of course, it's nice to do both, right?
Yeah, but it is, but you know, you're not getting a good replica of the inside.
Your soul connection.
Yeah,
the energy that you are.
Yeah.
Love is energy. Energy is love.
Yeah, and exactly like, and you're not getting any of the, I don't want to say science out of it, but you're not getting that knowledge, that inside scoop, that oxytocin, that different positions, the eye gazing. You're not picking up on that. Really.
And the beautiful thing, can you imagine making love with yourself or with a partner where there's no outcome that has to happen? You're maybe just kissing someone, but you're so turned on, super moist, super hard, because the energy of that makeout, your total body is touching, caressing, making out, but then your whole body's just like, ah! Where just kissing someone lights you up. And so why? Because your heart is on. We get our heart on before we get our heart on in these tantra classes. And getting your heart on in everything you do is how you actually are designed to be. We are designed to thrive when we are connected to our hearts. Our intuition is increased, so you can have a more intuitive lovemaking where it's not about pleasing him or is she happy. It's intuitive lovemaking where both of you wind up maybe on a kitchen counter, but because you intuitively felt that's the best place to go right now, or maybe in the pool, you know, or in the shower, because your intuition, there's this other magical creator that is stepping in and guiding the beautiful dance. So you don't have to experience that just with sex. You can experience that while you're making a meal and creating a new recipe. If you're a tantric person, you can invite more of that sexual energy, which is your creative energy and your healing energy, into everything you do. You could be intuitively guided to go eat at a certain restaurant and then have an amazing meal that you weren't expecting. So it's really about living heart guided and integrated with your sex, with your soul, with your heart, all of who you are, every part of you. So this is really the magic of Tantra. It's not just about sex, even though we talked a lot about it. But like when I wash my hair, you know, I'm feeling the love as I'm washing my hair and just feeling this. And yeah, sometimes I turn myself on, touching my neck a certain way. And sure, that's welcome too, you know, because sometimes people are like, oh my God, you know, I feel like I'm getting turned on just listening to you. And I say, great. You are a sexual being. Have fun with that. You don't have to make it into a story, anything personal about me. You don't know me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let yourself get turned on. Be happy that there's an alive woman in front of you that's reminding you that you have aliveness.
I get that way sometimes, you know, in like a reactionary way, I guess, where it reminds me that I am in the present. And it reminds me of Tantra, you know, when somebody like raises like your arm, your peach fuzz hair, you know, hanging off, or like there's just this small little touch where that sends your nervous system into a whole nother realm, you know, and then you're feeling all these reactions from your body because, you know, it's like domino effect. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, this is a good sign. It reminds me I'm very conscious, you know, and kind of in the...
You're alive. You're integrated. You're allowing all your emotions and feelings and sensations to be welcomed in your present moment awareness. Many of us are living not allowing the true feelings and sensations to be felt. So that's a person that is saying, I'm bored in my job. I'm bored in my relationship with my partner. It's not really the job or the partner. It's yourself. Where have you stopped honoring your feelings? Where have you stopped allowing yourself to feel the richness of your whole human experience? So I can only imagine if I was a man and I had a penis and I'm super turned onable. Like I get turned on when I go to the beach and the wind blows through my legs.
Oh yeah. The average guy has 11 erections a day.
Exactly. So I would probably be hard all day, you know, if it was me. That's why God made me into a woman. So in the workshops, I also tell people, if you have an erection in the workshop, yay, welcome it. You know, I totally don't have a problem if a man is having a hard on in a workshop. I want him to actually let himself have that permission to let himself feel fully alive and present and available. And this is what we say in the workshops. And I love that because I'm like, does anybody, you know, disagree? Like, is anybody against if someone is having an erection? Nobody ever raises their hand. They're like, why would we, you know? And so imagine we could live in a world like that, where if you are being aroused because somebody's funny and laughing and whatever, like you could welcome your arousal without having to personalize it and make it about that other person. You see what I mean?
Yeah. And see it as more of like a physiological
I'm just
response.
a sexual being.
Yeah.
I'm a sexual being.
Yeah.
And it's energy. And the more open a person will be, like if those rock stars, you know, when sometimes they're sexual, like Michael Jackson used to move his pelvis. There's certain artists that gyrate their pelvis and when they're singing, which is beautiful, I feel, because they're just letting themselves be in the moment. And music causes you to also secrete oxytocin, singing. So it would make sense that your sexual energy is turned on when you're singing. If you're really singing from an embodied place, it is a sexual creative experience, healing. Just like songs can be so healing, music stimulates oxytocin. So it's not a nasty thing. It's not a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if we could just accept that an artist feels like moving their pelvis instead of people being like, ay, ¿por qué está haciendo eso? Why is he doing that? Ew, he's gross. That is not Tantra. Tantra would be, yay, we're all sexual beings. We're so powerful. We're creative. And yay, we're expressing our creativity. Mind you, I'm not talking about the perverted people trying to get something. There's another misuse and lots of abuse of our sexual energy. But how much of that is because we've suppressed it so much from childhood that we just don't know how to handle it all?
Express it, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, like, I'm not having sex with 500 different people or 5 times a day. Like, I just want to let people know, because sometimes people are like, do you have many partners, or are you having sex all the time? No, I just want people to know this is important.
Yeah.
I am very creative. I know how to harness my energy, and it has nothing to do with sex, the actual penetration act. It is your sexual energy. You can use it for cooking. You could use it to write a book. You could use it to create a new, design a new dress. It's your energy.
Well, and that plays into how you're able to be more creative too.
Oh my
because
God,
when you have that, your creative mind is so opened up when you don't have stress. You know, it's like you can't be creative when you're under stress, because your hormones are going off. Your physiological state says, no, just react the way that these chemicals are making you react. And that's why a lot of times, like when people hear about like rock stars or actors doing drugs and this and that, they're trying to be creative the most quickest way possible, which is to feel what you feel like, during Tantra, but they're trying to do it the quickest way possible, which
and
is
maybe they have pressure that they have to produce a record. They want to make money.
They're under time constraints.
This is the other thing, is what's motivating your life. Like me, I love what I wake up every day and I get to do. I love my life. I love what I would do. I wish I could do what I do for free to everybody. Like, I wish I could teach every woman how to whole body orgasm, and every man, and how to learn about their gems inside themselves. Genuinely, like, I would love to be able to offer these things, and believe me, I pray and I do things for free too. I do a lot.
Well, you do a lot on your
work.
YouTube channel too.
Well, that's how I cope with that wanting. You know, I do have 80 meditations on Michelle Alva TV for free. But what I'm trying to say is, when you're motivated by money, like if I did what I do for money, I wouldn't be happy.
Yeah, no, you're so right with that. You're so right with Michelle. And I love having you on the podcast too, because you're so knowledgeable. You're so authentic, so beautiful. Where can people, like, if they're just listening to the episode, they're like, I need some more Michelle in my life. Where can they find you?
I would just type Michelle Alva TV on YouTube and go to my YouTube channel and watch some videos. If before you even reach out to me, if you're so excited, I'm so happy. But listen to a meditation, lay down, take advantage of those 89 meditations that I've created. Put on a headset, go outside, get naked in nature if you can. That's the best. And enjoy Michelle Alva TV on YouTube.
Okay.
And then if you feel you want to schedule a 30-minute call with me to learn more how to work with me, then schedule that. It's in every single one of my videos, the Calendly link. And then, of course, you could go to my website, michellealva.com. And I offer workshops, and I also fly to different exotic locations to do retreats and private events. If you are wanting to learn how to be an amazing lover, and you want to learn how to really harness your sexual healing, creative energy, and do the things that I do and share that way, reach out to me, because I have a training, and I love working with couples. I love working with men, with women, and doing these intimate, more private events where we could really let go together and have those intimate, expansive, orgasmic experiences, which are always consensual. People create agreements with each other, because sometimes couples are like, am I gonna have to be naked? Is my husband gonna be naked? And so basically there's a gamut. I have pelvic models of the genitals. So if people want just an anatomy class, I bring my models, the male model and the female model. And so I show people, actually, this is what it's supposed to, this is the location. And I love educating people on their bodies. But then couples want to also learn hands-on massage. So I teach linga massage, yoni massage, tantra massage, and actual fun, sensual tantric play. So breath work, which I really like to just say tantric breath, but then also how to process emotions. So there's a gamut of healing, pleasure, orgasmic connecting that is like a wide span of what I can teach people. And we can also do this through Zoom. So that's the amazing part. Anywhere in the world. I love it. I love looking at this whole.
Oh, the map? You love the map?
Behind you.
And Michelle, I will absolutely have you on again too to touch base, because this is just awesome stuff right up my alley. So thanks again, Michelle. I'm sure I will see you down the road.
Yeah, and I would love it if everybody goes to iTunes, to Apple, to put some stars on this podcast and put a great review for this awesome Daniel. Just to
Thanks,
support
Michelle.
his cause, and any feedback you guys have for us to grow. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you, Michelle.
Thank you for your dedication
No, thank you,
to
Michelle.
the whole world, Daniel. I feel it too.
No, absolutely. So I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
With every star